Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome back to our Maisemore Apiaries sponsored videos. Today we're going to take a look at the poly nucs that have been supplied to us by Maisemore Apiaries. And if you'd like to take any of the equipment that we're going to be looking at through this series of videos, take a look in the description below and I'll put all the links to their website in the description. So what we've got here is a commercial 6-frame poly nuc. As with all nucs, it's ideal for swarm collecting, for building up young colonies, for queen rearing and for overwintering nucleus colonies, a whole range of different options in the apiary. So what I'd like to do is to just break the nuc down into its component parts and take a look at each individual section. I've already had a little look through and there's one or two things about it that I'm not quite sure of, so I'm going to contact the guys at Maisemore and just ask a couple of questions, and I'll feed the answers back to you as we produce some more videos. So let's split the entire nuc box down and then we can talk about each individual part. So when you receive one of these poly nucs, they come unpainted, so they do need painting. We've used the smooth masonry paint on it, and it does need a couple of coats, but it goes on really well. And if you've seen the other video where we painted all of the hives, you'll see how we got on with that. So if we start with the floor, and I'll talk about some of the features that I like, and also explain certainly one feature that I've seen that I haven't worked out exactly what it does yet, but that's one of the questions I need to ask. So the actual floor comes with these 4 feet that are moulded into it, and it provides a nice stable base. This is a commercial poly nuc, so the size of it is designed for 6 commercial frames. One of the things I do like about it is the fact that the open mesh floor has actually been screwed in rather than nailed or stapled, and that means that when it comes to cleaning you can unscrew the metal part and then give the rest a really good wash. If you wanted to use a flame on the open mesh floor, you could take that off and give it a quick flame to kill any bugs on it. The feature on the floor that I haven't quite worked out what it does yet is this little block here, which is like a jigsaw puzzle piece, which comes out from that position there, and I suspect that maybe it allows more bees to get down to the entrance, but it doesn't block the entrance at all. It doesn't close it off, so it just leaves it in its open state. And if I push it in back to front, it doesn't seem to make any difference. But when it's in position, it narrows down the back entrance, so maybe that's what it's designed for. But I'm going to ask the question and see if we can find out why that block is in there. Okay, so then we've got the body to the nucleus itself, and this takes 6 frames and sits nice and tightly onto the base, which is great. One of the things about the front is that there isn't a block to fit into the entrance, so you need to use some foam just to fill that in if you were going to move the bees, just to block it up. And then we've got 6 frames, and these are commercial frames. The moulding on the inside has a ledge for the frames. I wouldn't call it a runner, but it's got an edge that you can sit the frames onto. And when you put the frames in, there appears to be a small bee space along the top. So we've got what appears to be a very narrow bee space on top of the bars, so that when the feeder or the roof goes on, there appears to be a bee space on top of the frame. So we shouldn't be crushing any bees when we put the roof on. So if I pop this roof on, it does appear that there's a gap sufficient for the bees to move across the tops of the frames. There isn't a cover board or a chrome board to sit on top of the polystyrene, so the top bars are going to expose to whatever, be it the feeder or the roof that sits on top, and whether that's going to create an issue with burr comb, brace comb, propolis and the roof feeder being glued down to the top of the frames, I don't know, but it's something that we're going to have a close look at as we get bees into it, and we'll see how that progresses. So we also get a feeder with it. And this is a Miller style feeder. So what we've got is two areas either side of a central feeding station where you can top this up with sugar syrup. This perspex plate comes out for cleaning, and then these polystyrene blocks can also be taken out in order to wash it out afterwards. And when these slide down into the bottom, it allows a small gap for the sugar syrup to go underneath this particular block, and then the bees can come up through the middle channel and go down and feed on the syrup on either side. So there's plenty of room there for the bees to feed, and then this cover plate goes on top, so that when you take the roof off and you want to check to see whether there's any food in the feeder, the bees are not going to come up, and you won't have to necessarily wear a veil or any protection, because the bees will be trapped beneath that cover sheet. And then finally the roof, it's again just a simple roof that would fit on top of that feeder. The top has got all of the Maisemore Apiaries information on it, so we've got a telephone number and a web address, but I'll put those down in the description below, and they'll be in all of the videos, so if there's anything that you want to ask directly, you can contact Maisemore Apiaries directly. So that's the commercial nuc box, made of recyclable polystyrene. Again, I have this question about the environmental impact, and having seen that it's got all of the recycle marks stamped in it, gives me some confidence that if we look after it well, it'll last many years, but then when we do need to get rid of it, we can recycle it, and hopefully in 10 or 20 years, when it's come to the end of its life, the technology will be there for more efficient recycling. So we'll have to watch that, really. One of the things that I have noticed is that the polystyrene does mark very easily. So we've got a couple of marks already on here, so you do have to look after them. I wouldn't go throwing them around, but then I wouldn't do that with wooden nucs either. So, but they do tend to mark quite easily. I need to find out whether we can get extra boxes, brood boxes for the nucs, because I quite like to double stack nucleus boxes through the winter to give them extra stores. So I'm going to ask that question. But overall, I think that the construction is really good, and I'm looking forward to getting some nucs in them and seeing how well they progress, particularly over winter. I think it'll be interesting to see how well the insulating effect of the polystyrene either benefits or hinders the bees that are in there. And there have been questions about condensation that have been raised already, so that's something else that we need to work out. If you have got any of these poly hives or poly nucs, then please do leave some comments in the comments section below, because it'd be great to learn from people that have already got experience in using these. This is the first time that we've had poly hives or nucleus boxes to work with, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they perform. So that's it for today's video. My thanks to Jonathan and the team at Maisemore Apiaries. Please do take a look at their website, which is bees-online.co.uk. All the information will be down in the description below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet subscribed, and make sure that you click on the little bell symbol and you'll get notified every time we publish a new video. We're also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook under Stuart's Beekeeping Basics, and there we've got a growing community of beginner beekeepers and more experienced beekeepers that are helping each other in answering lots of questions about day-to-day beekeeping, working our way through the season. And finally, if you'd like to support us in making these videos, then take a look at our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/Norfolk Honey, and again I'll leave the information down in the description below. So all that remains is for me to crack on and finish painting all of the equipment that we've got, and in the next video we'll take a look at the hives, and then following that we'll be installing bees into the hives, and it'll be interesting to see how the bees perform. So have a fantastic beekeeping week, and we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching.